Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.
Now, Positively Ernie with Ernie Anastos, a New York TV legend and radio host with great positive stories and interviews.
Thanks, Ernie. You're the best.
And now, here's Ernie.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Love having you here, and I love doing this program. I want to tell you about somebody today that's a very special guest. This is a guy who's a very well-known figure, certainly in New York and around the country, and many parts of the world as well. He's an extraordinary person who has a deep understanding of the Latino culture, and he also is a guy who goes into the community and he wants to build a better place. He wants to build a better life. He's got a great track record, and he's got a very well-known name. I want you to meet Luis Miranda Jr., and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So good to have you, my dear friend.
It is great to be with you.
You know, you've written a fabulous book. It's called Relentless, and we're going to talk about that because, you know, you cover so much. It says, my story of the Latino spirit that is transforming America. And you have done so many things with your life. How many times have I interviewed you?
Oh, my God.
My goodness.
Oh, my God.
We've talked about everything.
Whole bunch of times over the decades.
Yes.
And it has been a long time.
A long time. But
we don't age.
No, we don't know. People out there might wonder, hey, what are they doing? No, but you know what? You look great. And I know we talked a little bit before we went on, and you feel great. You must be so happy that you have put down, you know, on paper, your story. And you have so many stories to share. I mentioned your understanding of the Latino community, but you understand people in general. You started when you were very young. Tell us about that.
I came to New York from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I was just had turned 20 the week before. And I actually came to become a clinical psychologist, being accepted into the PhD program at NYU. And when I finished all my coursework, dissertation, I realized that I was not a very good clinical psychologist.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because my professors used to tell me, and I actually agree with them, I wanted people to change at my pace, not at their pace.
Oh, interesting.
Like, I don't want to talk about the same thing over and over and over. My wife has patience for 30 years. The thought blows my mind. So I realized that was not my calling, even though I thought it was. The good thing is that I actually got my wife of 46 years in that PhD program.
Oh, really?
And she's a happy clinical psychologist all of our lives.
Good things come out of that.
And then I gave myself 10 years to do things, to figure out what is it that I want to do. And I knew that at some point I wanted to run political campaigns. But at that time, I had 2 kids, Lin-Manuel and Lucecita. I had a wife. We had just moved into a house in Washington Heights. So it was not the time to venture.
Okay, the timing wasn't there for you.
The timing wasn't there. And I had learned a solid skill. I am great at math. I am great at statistics. I was great at research.
You're a smart guy.
So the following 10 years, if you look at my resume, it's a purple read of research. I taught statistics at CUNY, of things that I knew what to do until I could figure out what to do as I was raising my 2 kids.
You know what, Luis? Many people know stories that are similar, that you need time to build up the experiences, the wisdom in many ways of what you need to do to prepare you for for the platform that you're going to be on. And you found the platform.
And I did. And quite frankly, the turning point for me in the 80s, we're talking about a long time ago, was Ed Koch. Mm. Ed Koch giving me a job at the mayor's office. And being with such a charismatic, smart, sometimes volatile.
He was a character.
Dude,
very much so.
Who sort of gave me the entry into government, into politics, into a much bigger world. Mm-hmm. And I took every opportunity I could in working with him.
Tell us about some of the accomplishments, that you got involved with in New York. And then you branched out, in a national level as well. There are so many aspects that I want to cover here because there's so much to talk about. You mentioned your children. A lot of people probably heard Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes.
And that's Broadway, man. That's Hamilton, and that's a genius. And I know you're very proud of him. And he wrote the foreword to your book, which is great.
He did.
We're going to talk about him in a minute, but I want to ask you about the highlights of your career.
I tell you, when I sort of look quickly, probably the first big endeavor I had was to be in charge of implementing the amnesty program in New York City. Mm-hmm. It is amazing and sad because we talk about immigration all the time and it has been weaponized negatively. But it was President Reagan, the one who signed an amnesty law that got millions of people becoming legalized. And in New York, I was charged with a couple of other fellows to implement that program in New York and to go through New York City, finding people who all of a sudden had a path.
And that's been a very important base for you in terms of, being concerned about the American immigrants and seeing where they were going, how they were being placed. And especially now, it's a big issue.
It is a big issue. And I saw 4 decades ago how you can accomplish so much and how you move millions of people from the shadows into full participation in our society. Taxpayer people whose kids are now doing great things. I'll tell you a story about Lin-Manuel. During that period, I worked with the Asian counterpart in the mayor's office. And we went to many places in Queens where half of the audience was Chinese speakers and half of the audience was Spanish. One day we are in Corona, we're giving a presentation. Lin-Manuel is with me. I took my kids everywhere we didn't have.
Yeah, you exposed them to a lot of things that are very important in life. And that's how you help develop your children.
And my Asian counterpart gives the presentation in Chinese, and then I come and I give the presentation in Spanish. When we got back in the car, Lin-Manuel says to me, I didn't know, Daddy, that you spoke Chinese. I never disavowed him of the idea that it was really, I just knew the info, and he thought I was translating whatever was being said in Chinese.
Yeah, that's a great story. You influenced your children, and you influenced so many people.
Business owners wear many hats, but mailing and shipping expert shouldn't have to be one of them. Hi, I'm Al Coe, CEO of Stamps.com. We've helped over 4 million customers print postage, manage tracking, and schedule free carrier pickups so they don't have to leave the office. Stamps.com is committed to delivering the best solutions and rates all on one platform so you don't waste your valuable time. Go to Stamps.com to sign up for a special offer.
You are known for problem solving. You're known to be able to go into a community and try to build, as I said at the very beginning here, building a better community, building a better lifestyle. That's so important to you, and you have been drawing from your experience when you talked about you wanting to be a clinical psychologist and all the background that you had. That's all come together for you. Now you've got this book.
Yes.
Okay. You're on quite a mission here. Where are you? Traveling all over the country?
Traveling all over the country.
Tell me about that.
I love talking to people. My wife doesn't like to go to the supermarket with me because I will stop 10 times or 10 people will stop me to talk about whatever it's happening in the world. And I enjoy talking to people. So
I know you do.
It's waking up in different cities. I'm a little old to be sleeping in beds in hotels in Minneapolis, in Orlando, in Seattle, all over the country. But meeting the people I love, if I could bring them all to New York and have all of the conversations in New York and then go home at the end of the day and sleep on my bed, it would be much better.
I understand that. But Luis, the benefit, is that, maybe you say you get a little tired. I understand it, staying in different hotels and packing and unpacking. But think about what you're accomplishing. Think about the mission that you have with this book. Now, what kind of feedback are you getting? People who are reading it and people who are talking about it, what are they telling you?
I'm getting, because they're different audiences. Like, I go to places and the people love Lin-Manuel. And there is so much about Lin-Manuel's upbringing and my work with Lin-Manuel in the book, that when they take a picture with me, when they bring the book for me to sign, they just want to talk about Lin-Manuel and parenting advice on how they can create the next Lin-Manuel. There are people who are interested in politics. And they want to know about Latino politics, which is the original reason why I wrote the book. And then there are people who want to know about the institutional building that I have been involved through my life, creating the Hispanic Federation, Amber Charter School, the Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance, sort of a whole bunch of stuff that I have developed with many others. That's the best way to create stuff. So there are different audiences, and the conversations are very, very different.
Very stimulating in many ways.
And those are fantastic. Just having conversations with people. Because they always connected personally. And they will tell you a story about their parents, about their brother, about their kids, that is connected to the book.
Yeah. You're the kind of guy, reminds me, I love quotations. And there's one that says, a person should be like a well-decorated room. You shouldn't know everything about that room when you first walk in. And you're that kind of guy. The more you talk to you, the more someone listens to you, there are so many different layers of your career. And that's a gift. And that's what you've put in your book. You mentioned so many things. I know that you talked about your homeland of Puerto Rico. They had a horrible, horrible hurricane there, Maria.
Correct. We talked many times during that period.
And you went back and you did some extraordinary work there. Cover that a little bit.
And it's a couple of chapters in the book. It's about Hurricane Maria when it hit Puerto Rico, because it devastated the island. It was $90 billion in work that needed to be done. My family in my town, Vega Alta, didn't have electricity for 6 months. Imagine trying to live your life.
Incredible.
When there is no electricity in your home. We're so used to those for
half
6
a year. I know.
months. My sister tells me that when the electricity came, they had their routines already in doing coffee in the barbecue, sort of had adjusted themselves to the new reality that when she was leaving the house to go to work and she looks at the porch, the light is on. She runs back into the house. The electricity came overnight, but they were so used to their routine. And like that, millions of people were affected. And we did everything we could as a family and with so many other families, Latinos and non-Latinos all over the country to help the island.
You worked very hard, and so did many people, and they've recovered very well, haven't they? When was the last time you were there?
I go there now very often.
Sure.
Remember, my family is in Puerto Rico, not my immediate family. Brothers, sisters, cousins, all of those people are still in Puerto Rico. We were there. We started the book tour in Puerto Rico on May 1st and 2nd.
Oh, nice.
And I went with the family, and Lin-Manuel was with me in all of the events we had in Puerto Rico.
Let me ask you something. You know, I could talk to you forever. And, you know, when we talk about politics, we talk about problem solving, we talk about all the different issues that we all face, different cultures. We have a problem, you know, of divisiveness right now in our country. And I want you to address that a little bit in terms of what can be done. I understand, you know, for years, I've been on the air doing the news, 40 plus years in New York. And I think people know that I have a reputation for walking straight down that line. I've never sided. I've always given everybody an opportunity to be heard. Balance, to me, that's the most important thing. And the truth and integrity. And, you know, I respect everyone's opinion. And I want the best, as you do, for our country. How can we find a way, with your background, understanding, you know, psychology, understanding human behavior, sociology, what can we do in general to stimulate in our country a better understanding and respect for one another for whatever you believe in, how can we do that? What would you say?
I think that first you need to separate opinions from people telling facts that are simply not facts.
Keep it honest. Yeah,
But the second thing, it's how do we continue to work in institutions? I'm involved in something that is called the Generosity Commission, and we're coming up with a report within the next couple of months. A couple of things that we have seen is that people are volunteering less.
Volunteering less, yeah.
And churches, nonprofits, little leagues, the institutions that we have created at the community, they don't have the support. Yeah. And if those erode and become weaker, we become weaker as a society and create...
So what's at the heart of the problem? Why are people not participating?
Because on the one hand, the institutions are not doing enough work to attract people, and we need to do that. Okay. On the other hand, the division that you talked about continues to permeate daily interactions.
That feeds into it.
At some point, you have to put aside.
How about technology? I mean, what impact does that have, too? Where a lot of people are not, like you and I, sitting here now, eyeball to eyeball, talking. You know, it's on the phone. You know, it's a text.
It's and not unfortunately,
real conversation.
In the Latino community, I talk a little bit about that in the book. We get misinformation not only from the United States, but from our countries of origin. Yeah. I remember during COVID, doctors from Ecuador, from Colombia, talking about this was a hoax. This was not a real illness. You don't need to vaccine. If you eat the following three things, it's going to go away. Right. So dealing with misinformation is key.
Well, we all have to work on that. And you're working at it, too. The title, Relentless, I think I know why you came up with it. Tell us, why did you choose
Actually,
Relentless?
it was my son, the one who came up with the title. He was asked to describe me in a documentary that they did about me and taking Hamilton to Puerto Rico during Hurricane Maria. And he described me as a relentless, I can't say the other part. And so we went with the PG part and just relentless. And he says over and over that when he was playing Hamilton, he just had to look at his own experience with his dad. On the way in which Hamilton was seen.
And you're very proud of him and your lovely family, your children, your wife. Congratulations on this book.
Thank
Relentless,
you.
Luis A. Miranda Jr. I really think that this is a great message for all of us to listen to and to understand how we can make the world a better place if we are relentless in our efforts and committed and devoted.
Well, you know a little bit about that after
helps.
many,
That
many,
helps.
many decades
I know.
of doing this.
Thank you so much. Okay, good luck. Come back again. Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
What a great guest. Thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.